Where is fancy bread? In the heart or in the head? I want to take a quick second to just say thank you to everyone who is watching these videos. I was actually blown away. Less than a week, and my review of Return of the Jedi has over 40 views. I know that may not seem like a big deal to some people, but only one of my videos since I've started this has gotten that many views, and for that to happen in less than a week was like a huge deal for me. So thank you everyone who is watching these. A quick few disclaimers. These are unedited, unfiltered, so things may fly out of my mouth. If your kids are in the room, you might want to ask them to leave the room or put headphones on. And I will talk about spoilers, but fortunately I'll put a list underneath this video that shows all the movies I talk about in this video, and you'll see a header for spoilers, so if you want to avoid spoilers, avoid those films. I am not wearing my normal shirt today. I'm wearing a vintage 1981, which is the year I was born, shirt because I do laundry once a week, and that shirt is dirty right now because the last reviews I did of the 3 original Star Wars films, I wore that shirt, my unpaid shirt, twice, and unpaid movie critic. I wore that shirt twice, and it's still in the laundry, and this is Friday, and I haven't done laundry yet. So, but I want to stay on track, and today is a huge deal. It is the 11th. I want to stay on, and I'll talk more about that, why it's a big deal. I want to stay on track with my 52-week movie challenge, so I decided to do another one before too long, even though you've had multiple reviews lately. So, let's get to it. Good Will Hunting. How many of you seen this movie? Oh my god, fantastic. Okay, I'll get to that. So, Good Will Hunting. This is challenge number 11. A film that has won Best Original Screenplay. Good Will Hunting is the title of the film. Year released, 1997. Aspect ratio, 1.85:1. Running time, 2 hours and 6 minutes. Genre, drama, romance. The romance factor, okay, there's a bit of romance in there. I feel like it's definitely more drama, but IMDb labels it as a romance as well. Rated R. So I have a funny little thing to say about that. You know how many times they say fuck in this movie? It's a lot. And the MPA went to Matt Damon and said, he really wanted a PG-13 for this so that more people would be able to see it. And they said, well, if you really want it to be PG-13, you're going to have to, you're only allowed so many times that you say the word fuck, and you're going to have to reduce that. And he said, well, how many are we short by? How many do we have to cut? And they said, well, about 140 something, 146 or something ridiculous like that. Matt Damon said that in an interview, and it just cracked me up. There's no way you're going to get a rated R with the way they talk. It's just not, or excuse me, a PG-13 with the way they talk. It's just not going to happen. Starring Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. This is not the first movie they made, and this is not the first movie they were in together. And it wasn't the first movie I saw them in either. I saw School Ties way before this, and they were both in that. Anyway, Robin Williams, the amazing, impeccable, the once-in-a-lifetime Robin Williams. May he rest in peace. Stellan Skarsgård, Minnie Driver. Casey Affleck, Cole Hauser. I could go on and on and on. It's a great cast. Directed by Gus Van Sant, produced by Lawrence Bender. Okay, he produced a couple of Tarantino's early works. So seeing that name again was like really cool. And then Kevin Smith co-executive produced. I just wanted to mention Kevin Smith did have a hand in that. I was like, whoa, I didn't realize that. Okay. Music by Danny Elfman. Okay, so I'm a little disappointed with myself that the few times that I've talked in some of these videos about great composers, obviously John Williams pops right to the forefront of my mind, but there are people like James Horner and Harry Gregson Williams and other people who've done wonderful, wonderful scores, and for some reason it has not occurred to me to mention Danny Elfman. He is also an amazing film composer, and just the opening of this, like the opening scene and the music just reminds me, God, he's so fantastic. His music is so great, and I don't know why I haven't mentioned him among some of the greats before. Batman, I've had that soundtrack forever and ever and ever, and Beetlejuice and Dolores Claiborne, so many, so great. Date challenge complete. 8/11. Today is the 11th. Rating, I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, absolutely. Awards received: Best Original Screenplay, which is the challenge. Best Supporting Actor, Robin Williams, absolutely. I thought he deserved it before this, for things like Awakenings and The Fisher King. Whoa, I totally blanked on that. He's such an amazing, fantastic, versatile actor, even though mostly what he had been known for was comedy. And this movie, he just deserved it. And for him to get it, for me to watch him get it, I was just like, finally, this man who absolutely deserves it. Why did you choose this particular film? Okay, here's where I'll talk about 11. Today is August 11th. This is challenge number 11 in the book. This is number 11 on the poster, and this is number 11 that I've done out of the book, and this is week 11 since I've started this review channel and reviewing them and doing my 52-week challenge. So all the 11s fell in line, and I was like, okay, I've got to do it today because of all the 11s. I was looking at okay, what do I review next? And I was looking at the poster, and I really thought to myself, I want to make sure that I have one of every row scratched out. Now that I have more than 10 done on the poster, now that this is number 11 on the poster, which is right there, this is number 11 on the poster, and I wanted to make sure I had one on every row scratched out. I don't have one on this row, I don't have one on this row, and this row, every other row I have. So I was looking at it going, okay, what can I do? And when I saw that Good Will Hunting won for Best Picture, one for Best Original Screenplay, and that was challenge 11, and it was the 11th. I was like, okay, that's got to be it. Anyway, a whole lot of coincidences, but really cool that everything landed on 11. Have you seen this before? Yes, absolutely. I'm almost positive I saw this in the theater. I could look at my movie scrapbook if I really want. You know what? If I really wanted to know, it's 1997, right? See, now that I have my third bookshelf, I can actually grab my movie ticket scrapbook like I told you. Every movie ticket since I started watching movies on my own from 1995's Braveheart. So 97, I will have 1997 in here. And I'm almost positive I saw this in the theater. But you know what? Maybe I didn't. You know what? I did not. I did not. Oh, yes, I did. It must have come out late in 1997 because I saw it March of 1998. Good Will Hunting is when I saw that. So, yes, I did see this in the theater. That's what I had thought. And I've seen it dozens, maybe even, hundreds of, maybe not hundreds of times, but probably close. Maybe 100, 150 times. I don't know. Lots. Would I recommend this film? Yes, absolutely. To most people. Okay. There is a lot of language in this film, but that's just the way they talk. None of it ever really seems vulgar. Maybe one or two times it might seem a little vulgar, like when they're telling the jokes in the bar or whatnot. But for the most part, it's always very conversational. That's just the way they talk and just the way they grew up. So it depends on, you know, I would recommend this to anybody, but if somebody has a problem with language, then obviously I wouldn't. Which character were you most able to identify with or connect with, and in what way? You know, whoops. So, whoops. That went down the wrong tube. Unedited. So, sometimes I feel a little bad, like, constantly picking out the main character. But I guess, to a degree, you want to identify with the main character a lot because you're on this journey, this 2-hour journey with them, and you want to be able to identify with them. But is it always necessary to identify the most with that character? It's not. But here again, I identify with Will. Why? Very much like I identify with Luke Skywalker from A New Hope, like I had said. Because he has a gift. A gift that people know about. In this, people know about. In A New Hope, nobody really knew about. I mean, Obi-Wan had to open him up to it. But this is... Will has a gift that people know about, and it's a gift he is not using. I am an actor, and I have been on stage with people who really were blown away by my performances, and I have had people in the audience come up to me and just say, it's so amazing how I don't see you on stage. I see the character that you're portraying, and just to have that gift and not be using it right now is a little frustrating for me. I'm not like Will in that he is suppressing it on purpose. I don't suppress it on purpose. I'm trying. You know, it's definitely a challenge here in Hollywood to get somewhere with that. With an act. I had an agent, and as soon as I told him that I would not go in the closet for my career, he stopped sending me out on auditions. I mean, literally, it was night and day. He stopped sending me out on auditions, which was such a shock to me. And then, you know, a couple of years ago, he passed away of cancer, and his agency folded because he owned the agency. So I've been looking for an agent since then, and it is probably the hardest thing. Getting roles is not nearly as hard as getting an agent, which is in this town, which is the most ridiculous thing in the world. If you're not making money, they don't want anything to do with you, but you can't make money without them. It's such a double-edged sword. It's so ridiculous. But I don't want to sit here and talk about that. Best line or memorable quote. Son of a bitch, he stole my line. Okay, so Robin Williams. So I have more to say about that, but that is like just every time I think of this movie, that's the line I think about. Were you surprised by the ending? I was not surprised by the ending. It made sense. It was the natural progression of things. I did enjoy that. You know, when his friend Chucky tells him, you know, the best part of my day is from about 5 seconds from when I get out of my car to when I get to your front door. I hope that you won't be there. That whole little thing that he says, I thought that was nice. That's how he left, and that he didn't say goodbye, and that he just left. I was a little surprised by that, but I was not surprised by the fact that he left. I knew he was gonna. He had to go. Go to California, see Skylar. He had to. Unless you read the script, you can only judge a screenplay by the movie. Based on the movie, do you feel this script deserved the award for best screenplay? Absolutely. Like this script is so brilliant. We'll talk about how, there are so many points where I'm like, this part is so well written. This monologue or this speech and this and little insights into the character and the conversational way things happen. It's just such a fantastic script. And I can't believe. So Matt Damon said that I saw in an interview, he said that this was a project in one of his classes. At least it started out as a project in one of his classes. And he said the original script, the original screenplay that he handed in, one of the only things that survived, his professor told him to continue it, that he should continue to explore it because it was really good. And one of the only things that definitely survived that was well, it may have been played with, but it was one of the things that survived from the original paper was Sean, Robin Williams' character, Sean's speech to Will when they're sitting in the park. He said that speech was totally fleshed out and was one of the only things that actually survived from the original project. And I find that amazing, because there are so many parts in this film where the script is so tight and so amazing and so well done that I can't believe that, two college guys like got together and wrote and then they never wrote anything else. Like, what? Anyway, very wonderful, very brilliantly done. Let me look at... I have my Oscar list here. Oh, God. Okay. Not that I didn't like Titanic. I liked Titanic. I did not think it deserved to sweep everything for, like, the rest of cinematic history. I do not feel that way about it. I know some people do, and that's perfectly fine. I didn't feel that way about it. That year, Titanic won everything. Almost. Titanic was up for Best Picture. This is back when they only nominated 5 for Best Picture. So Titanic, As Good as It Gets, The Full Monty, Good Will Hunting, L.A. Confidential. I have not seen The Full Monty. That is the only one out of those films that I have not seen. As Good as It Gets was fucking amazing. Loved every second. So fantastic. And when Jack Nicholson won and Helen Hunt won, I was over the moon. So this was one of the years of Oscars where a lot of things won that I appreciated, that I agreed with. Not Best Picture, but the acting wise, things won, and I was so like I was like yes. Anyway, do I think Good Will Hunting should have won Best Picture? Why am I talking about Best Picture? No, I think As Good as It Gets should have won Best Picture that year, in my opinion, over Titanic. The whole reason why I brought up my Oscar list was to look at the original screenplay, which it did win for original screenplay. Okay, it was up against As Good as It Gets, Boogie Nights, Deconstructing Harry, and The Full Monty. Okay, of all of those, the only one I've seen is As Good as It Gets. As Good as It Gets and Good Will Hunting. I didn't see the other two. Boogie Nights, Deconstructing Harry, and The Full Monty. So I can't, with real authority, say it absolutely deserved it over all of those. As Good as It Gets, man, that's a really hard... Because that's screenplay, that script was also fantastically written. So it's really hard to be like... Ugh. I do think that if I were to put it to a vote, if I had to vote, I probably would lean Good Will Hunting more than As Good as It Gets, even though As Good as It Gets was fantastic. But I don't know about the other ones. So that point is kind of moot. Anyway, anything else you'd like to add? Oh, what I would like to add, I put a little arrow, because what I would like to add has something to do with what they wrote at the bottom here. What they wrote at the bottom here is snow is expensive to replicate, so filming of Dead Poets Society 1989 was moved from Georgia to Delaware. So I have something to say about that. So interesting enough, that's it for the book. Interesting enough, that's another Robin Williams film. So the snow... There's this wonderful scene, absolutely, and I've got to review that because that is just a remarkable film as well. But in the Dead Poets Society, speaking of the snow, there is that scene where they tell Ethan Hawke's character that his roommate has committed suicide. Spoiler alert, big time. That his roommate committed suicide. And he has that breakdown, and he screams. That was scripted to be indoors. But when it came time to film, just before they started filming, it started to snow outside. And they said, oh my God, is it possible to get this outside? We will literally only have one chance. Because if the snow stops, or if take one doesn't work, you've got Ethan Hawke's tracks in the snow all the way to the the pier, and there's no way to fix that while we still have snow. So literally, Ethan Hawke did that in one shot, and it was brilliant. And I love that they captured it. I love that they changed it. I love that he was that amazing, and they did it in one shot, and it's perfect. It's perfect, and it was meant to be. It was meant to be. So the thing I had to, the last thing I had to say wasn't really about Good Will Hunting, but anyway. And I digress like I normally do. So my notes. Let's go with my notes. The music. Oh, I already said about the music. Oh my God, it's so great. Will's living space. So in that first scene, you see Will's living space, and I get that Will is in a very low income neighborhood, and we're trying to show that, but we also show the fact that because of the way his mind works, because of his intelligence and his analytical brain, he doesn't need much. And he's sitting there reading, and there really isn't much in his apartment. And I love his living space. Very much reflects his character very well. Just like later on when you see Sean's living space, and it's a mess. A mess. He is nothing without his wife, and he really has kind of fallen apart after her passing from cancer. So their living spaces really, you only see a couple of their living spaces, and it's nice to see. And you see Skylar's, space. I don't think Skylar's space says as much about her as these two persons, Sean and Will's living space says a lot about them. Anyway, I said I had such a crush on Matt Damon back then. Back in school ties and this, he was. I thought he was so hot back then. I definitely went and saw this, not because I had any interest in the film, because I don't remember really wanting to see this film aside from the fact that I just watched anything with Matt Damon in it. I've never been the biggest fan of Ben Affleck. I can give or take. He's not like somebody I don't like at all. I can definitely say Matt Damon was definitely the draw, and Robin Williams. Ben Affleck has never been the kind of person where I really want to go see his film. To be honest with you, I appreciate his brother Casey Affleck way more than his presence and his ability. I would go see Casey's film before I went and saw, a film with Ben Affleck. I think over the years I've appreciated more of what Ben's done, and I think in this film he is fantastic. I think there are certain films where he does such a great job that I'm like, yeah, that's fantastic. That's great. But anyway, he does a great job in this. He did a great job in School Ties. So the first time I saw this, I'm not sure if I really realized that. I'm not sure if I realized that when he looks the math problem on the board, he goes home. He memorized it. He goes home. He works it out on the mirror and then erases it and then goes and does it. I don't think I realized that was all the same thing. Now I watched it in the theater, and what was I, a teenager then? So I wasn't as analytical with film as I am today. I just enjoyed film and just watched it and didn't think much more beyond just the enjoyment and watching it. So I was 17 or something like that, 16 or 17 when I saw this movie. So I didn't 16. I wasn't analytical with it. So I guess I didn't catch the fact that he had memorized it, worked it out on his mirror, and then went back and then put it on. I knew that he had put it on the chalkboard, yeah, but I didn't know that he had memorized it and then gone home and did it. So in less than 10 minutes of screen time, it has set this. I have something in my glasses. It has set this film up so well. Again, the brilliance of this script. it moves so quick and so concise in the beginning that you get that here is this really poor kid in a crappy neighborhood working as a janitor. He's extremely smart. He is a mathematical genius. He's photographic memory, and the professor's like, who is this? So like literally so literally within 10 minutes I'm hooked. Like, okay, what's going to happen next? What's going on? And he's suppressing it, obviously, because his friends don't know. And the dichotomy between his friends is really, really cool. And it's completely different than you would think of some, insane genius who's not in college, who should be. And so now we want to know more. We don't know enough about him yet. But in literally less than 10 minutes, I'm like hooked on this, like what's going to happen next? The sandwich, the hamburger on layaway, that part. Okay, not only does it, I mean, there've been a couple of scenes with these friends, these amazing actors, Cole Hauser and Casey Affleck and Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, this great group of four. They bounce off each other so well. They are so great together. And the script is so tight and well done that it's these little scenes with them are great. And this one with the sandwich on layaway is just hilarious. It's so, it just drives home, it drives home a lot of things. One, their order in society, absolutely, on the financial rung, that drives that home, like right there, and how tight this crew is, along with that fight with Carmine Scarpagli, that fight like right after the sandwich on layaway thing. That fight too also brings home how tight these guys are. They would do anything for each other, and I love that. Really quick, we find out how amazing these people are and why Will is with them. Why is this intelligent person with them? We don't know why he's suppressing his ability yet, but now we know, and it doesn't take us long to find out, okay, why he's friends with these guys and why he hangs around them. It's and such a great script, again, over and over and over. Just such a great script, just so well done. That fight with Carmine Scarpagli, that's the only real time, aside from the very beginning with the credits, and they do that reflective, that what do you call it, like kaleidoscope. They do the kaleidoscope thing, and then reflective in the mirror. Aside from that very beginning, this fight scene is the only time they really do some fun camera work and slow things down. Later on, they do one quick little kaleidoscope shot again. What is it? I'm trying to remember. Oh, when Sean and Will remember their fathers being abusive, and they do that quick kaleidoscope thing where he's seeing his father coming up the stairs in his mind's eye. But otherwise, they don't do any. Gus Van Sant doesn't do anything with the camera except for that fight scene. And I find that interesting. He does a lot of. I didn't pay a whole lot of attention this time to what he did with the camera, but there was a couple of times where he did some really nice pans and some really nice, slow zooming in. But otherwise, the only time he really plays with the camera is that fight scene. I find that interesting. The Harvard bar scene, it still blows me away, no matter how many times I've seen it. It's so amazing. This is where it really... Okay, yes, we know Will is a genius because he's doing the college math on the board, and he's memorizing it. This is the first time they show literally one after another. So Chucky, who is Ben Affleck, and Will, who's played by Matt Damon. So Chucky is trying to pick up the two, Skylar and her friend. And you can already tell he is not the sharpest tool in the shed. He's street smart, absolutely, and he's very funny and charming, yes, absolutely, but he doesn't belong in Harvard, and this is a Harvard bar. And literally, no cut, no seconds, no nothing, and then we get the complete opposite, which is Will, who is an insanely smarter than the guy who thinks he's smart, that comes up to, like, make fun of Chucky, like, insanely smart. And this is the first time you see their intelligences mashed up, and in front, and the first time you see Will in front of his friends exposing his intelligence. Until now, Will has kept it a secret. He does the work on the board in secret. He doesn't want them to know, the professor, blah blah blah. This is the first time we see him expose his intelligence. Now, we get a sense that they know. We get a sense because, Casey's character says, Morgan. Morgan says, my friend is wicked smart, when they walk away. So we know he's done it before, but this is the first time we see it on film, and it's so well done. Even by today's standards, that is very, very well written, very well done. I got a number. How do you like them apples? Yeah, I like that, but that line always makes me, I got a number. I always love that line, that little part. That's great. Michael Bolton clone. There's so many great little lines in this movie. The court case. Oh, yeah. I like the court case a lot. Why? Because it shows that it really shows the extent of Will's intelligence and his memory. His capacity for memory. Because it's not just his intelligence. Yeah, we know that he's smart, but he's also, we get from the scene in the bar, I'm about to sneeze. We get from the scene in the bar, excuse me. We get from the scene in the bar that he when he picks out the page, and he knows the page that he's coming from. So we know that he's very intelligent, and he's got a photographic memory. If the scene in the beginning didn't catch you like it didn't catch me, that he memorizes the problem on the board. So this court case also drives home the fact that he has an insane memory, and it's not just mathematics or history, it's law, it's everything. It's everything. And I love it. And I love that maybe we expect to see because he's so intelligent and he's being charming and clever and witty, maybe we expect to see him let go or acquitted, and he's not. And I really like that. I love that the cop's like, the judge's like, you hit a cop, you're going in. So I love that he sends him in. Obviously, it sets the whole movie up, but I appreciated that. I wrote this down. Okay, so I noticed this time, I'm like, when Gerald comes in to get him out of jail and says, you have to do math with me. It sounds like a hoot. And then he says, you have to do therapy. I don't understand, like, what is this testosterone-driven aversion to therapy? I get that therapy is not for everyone. I know that. I'm not trying to advocate that everybody should do therapy. No. And I know that there are some people who absolutely cannot do therapy. Unfortunately, especially in this country, there are certain things that unfortunately, some people who really need therapy can't get therapy because if they start talking about certain things, they get reported. And that's unfortunate because not everybody is in a position where they've done something, wrong or bad or illegal, but they still need to talk about urges and struggles that they have inside them, and they can't talk to them because as soon as they do, they get reported, which is ridiculous. I get it. This country, I get it. So I know that therapy is not for everyone, but I don't understand why the typical male, or what is it? It's called toxic masculinity or whatever it is. I don't understand why this aversion to, if I talk to a therapist, that makes me less of a man. That's so stupid. That's so stupid. Really? Really? Talk to a man then. Talk to a male therapist if you're worried about being a real man or blah. Therapy is very good for a lot of people. And what is it? You're talking to someone who's outside of the problem or outside of the situation, who may or may not have some really good insight into how to deal with it that you may not know. I mean, there's nothing secret or magical about it or feminine about it. It's ridiculous. So Will's automatic aversion to therapy is like, I get that it's a little more than him being just masculine, because there's never any point in this script where he's motivated by his masculinity. Never, ever. He's motivated by he's mostly motivated because he's scared. He fears what people will judge him about. That's why. Because he's an orphan. Because he's been, abused. Because people look at him different when he tells them that. Or treats him differently. That's what his motivation is. And his motivation, his aversion to therapy, is just that strong feeling that he doesn't need, he's okay. And he's lying to himself that he's okay. I think that's where his motivation comes, that it's an automatic aversion to therapy. I think. I mean, I didn't write the script, so I'm not 100% sure. But I feel like that's what his automatic aversion to. Will doesn't tell him... Oh, it gets my... So Will doesn't tell Gerald how simple this stuff is. When he memorized the first problem and went home and worked it on the board, that took him... Okay, you got to know. 1, he memorized the whole damn thing. 2, he had it all worked out probably before he even wrote it on the mirror. 3, when he wrote it on the mirror, that didn't take him long, and then he erased it and moved on. It wasn't like he worked on it all night. No, he worked on it for a couple of minutes. Like, oh, okay, I got it. He doesn't tell Gerald how insanely remedial this math is. This is nothing. Why doesn't he tell him that early? It gets him out of jail. His motivation is, I don't want to be in jail. But I don't know if... Do we as the audience really know how remedial this is for him? Maybe to a degree, maybe not to the degree, but to a degree we probably get that this math is a joke. I love the little scenes where he toys with the therapists, all of them, each one individually, in a different way. Oh, I'm thinking there's more than there is, isn't there? There's only like 2, but I feel like there's like 3 or 4 of them, and that's not right. The movie is well done, and the scenes are so well done that I feel like he did that a few times, but he didn't. He technically, the story, the dialogue says he went through 5, but we only actually, I think, see him go through 2. But it's fun to see him play with them, and because he is so adverse to therapy, and like you find out later on, he's pushing people away on purpose. So he finds what's going to bother them, and he pushes on those buttons until they take off. It's the same way he played with his dad. When he said something about being abused, and he said he used to put a what did he say, a stick, a belt, and a wrench on the table, and what would you pick? I picked the wrench. Why? Because fuck him. So he's playing with people. He's pushing people's buttons. He knows how to push people's buttons on purpose. And it's something he's been doing all his life. I mean, he's 20, so he's been doing for 20 years. I wrote this question because I didn't understand. Putt from the rough? How does that equal homosexuality? I don't understand. I've never heard that term aside from this film, putt from the rough or putting from the rough. What does that mean? I don't even know what that means. If it's not too inappropriate, let me know in the comments if you know what that means, because I sure as hell don't know what that means. And apparently it's some homophobic slur, like I've heard pillow biter. Okay, I know what that is. I get what that is. But I've never heard putt from the rough aside from this film, and I don't understand what that even means. So If you know what it means, let me know. Oh. So from the sheer fact that you have Robin Williams in this character, it's hard to be subtle and say, script wise, try to say this is a different level. You know, I want it to be a secret that this is the guy that's going to get through. I want it to be a secret that this is a different level. But you can't when you have someone like Robin Williams playing. You know automatically as the audience, this is going to be a whole other level. This is going to be a whole other thing. This is not going to be like the other guys. So, you know, sometimes casting can help you, and sometimes casting can hurt you when you really want to... Seven is another film where casting hurt you a little bit. Why? Because at the time, Kevin Spacey was huge. And the fact that he was in the film, and the only person you don't see in the entire film is the perpetrator, you know it's going to be Kevin Spacey. So sometimes, casting hurts you, and sometimes you can't really get a surprise if people know that this person is in your film. And Robin Williams, to a degree, was like this. I feel like they wanted to sneak the fact that Sean was the one that was going to get through to him, but you can't sneak that fact when you've got, Robin Williams. Anyway, spending too much time on that fact. Gerald Lembo, Stellan Skarsgård, who was fantastic in this. I've seen him do other things that I really appreciate more. This is a very subtle performance for the most part. He plays a very specific one-note character for most of it. There's a couple of times he really, like when he breaks down and is like, I wish I'd never met you type of thing. That was brilliant. But for the most part, he plays a very straightforward character with a lot of subtleties. And what I wanted to point out is his arrogance is so subtle. And it almost comes off as he's just in a different class. He's not really arrogant. He's just in a different class, and it kind of shows with how he treats people or how he talks to people. But the one time his arrogance bothers the fucking shit out of me. And normally arrogance doesn't bother me that bad unless you're like really arrogant on purpose and you're not supposed to like this character. No. We're supposed to like Gerald. For the most part, we're supposed to have a little problems with him later, but we're supposed to like him overall, okay? So this is not a character where we're not supposed to like him. He's so arrogant, we don't like him. No. He's arrogant, yes, to a degree, but that's part of his character. We're supposed to like him. The one time I don't like him, the one time that bothers the shit out of me, his arrogance is just of that level that it grates on me every single time, is when he walks into Sean's class in the middle of the class and interrupts it and just stands there. Hey, Sean. Just stands there. Hey, Sean. So entitled. Such a fucking prick. That's the only time I feel like he's a fucking prick. The only time in the whole film. Otherwise, I mean, I can give or take. I get people have, their different ways of dealing with people and different ways of thinking. But that one bothers me. He respects Sean deep down, but you would never know. Oh, yeah. I wrote that note because he's gone through 5 therapists. And then he thinks, oh, there's somebody I can call. So it's not just that he went to school with Sean and he was his roommate and here's a buddy. And, oh, yeah, Sean's a therapist too. No. You get from the way that he approaches him, from the fact that he's gone through 5 people who haven't worked out, and he thinks, you know what? You know who might be able to get through. He respects Sean more than he would say, and more than the script really gives away. It's subtle. Again, a lot of subtleties in that character, in that performance. It's so great. that first meeting with Sean and Will, they're kind of feeling each other out, you know, playing with each other a little bit. And it's nice to see the typical older, younger play. So the younger is the one that's pacing and moving around and looking around and jabs, the little jabs with what he's saying. And the older is patient and sitting and deflecting and chill. It is really, really cool to see that in that first interaction between the two of them. And that cute little, you know, that, what, you lift? Yeah, Nautilus? No, free weights. Yeah, how much do you bench? 285? And Matt Damon is such a great actor. That little look, and then he move on. You know Will can't bench 285. Can Robin Williams bench 285? Do I believe he benches 285? I don't think I ever disbelieved that he benched 285. At least the character. Robin Williams in real life? I don't know. I would be a little hard pressed to think. Anyway, I think it's really fun. Little, like I said, the jabs, the little the jabs and deflect, and then the one time that Sean jabs is nice. And Matt Damon, his acting is so well done. Why is that beeping? Matt Damon does that so well. The way he acts through that is really well done. You know, Matt Damon's level of acting. I'm watching this film. I remember when it first came out and watching this film and then thinking to myself, this is the one of the two that's really going to go far. That's what I thought to myself. Now, both of them have had amazing careers now. I just think Matt Damon has made better choices when it comes to film because I think he's the stronger actor, in my opinion. I think he's the stronger actor. Anyway. What is going on? I have some sort of weird feedback going on. Hold on. Yeah, for some weird reason, my soundbar kept going on and beeping, and then I heard some weird rustling. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Oh, the painting. Wow. And then, so that first meeting with them, I love the playfulness of it, like I said, and the older and the younger dichotomy. But then when he goes to the painting, the boom, like, here's where it gets real serious. The shift in the tone right away. Even though they're still sort of playing with each other, you already know right away from where the camera is, how he's looking, the way Sean gets up behind him. Every little thing points to this is really serious. Yet they're still kind of playing with each other. And then all of a sudden, you know, Sean's reaction. If you ever disrespect my wife again, I'll fucking end you. Just hearing that from Robin Williams was a shock. Because, you know, all the stuff he had done before, all the stuff I really knew him from was not like that. He didn't, and just to see him do a character like, whoa. I didn't see Awakenings, The Awakenings? I think it's The Awakenings. I didn't see that until years later. Excuse me. And I remember my dad watching The Fisher King, and the only thing I really remembered of it was Robin Williams dancing in the nude at night in the park. And so I didn't really remember the film. I watched it years later and then got it for myself. Anyway, I'm not going to do a review of that. But the only thing I really knew from Robin Williams personally, 16 years old, going to see this film, the only thing I knew personally from Robin Williams was all the comedy he had done. And so to see him do this was a shock. And it was amazing to see this person that I knew as so one way, and then to see him this completely other character and serious and having his own demons and seeing him torn apart. It's just, whoa, it blew me away. He deserved the Academy Award for this. And it speaking of that part where he talks about the painting, and then he threatens Will, and then Will leaves. Time's up, and he leaves. It speaks volumes to him, Sean, as a character, Sean as a therapist. It speaks volumes to him that while he is there, torn open, and dealing with his own past and his own problems and his own struggle, he is very unlike all the other therapists. He tells Gerald, I'll see him again next week. Make sure he's there. He commits to seeing Will again, even though he is literally freshly torn open. He hasn't worked through what Will has said. He hasn't worked through his own problems yet. This is a real issue. And the fact that he pushes beyond that, and his commitment is to Will, and he knows that Will needs help. As a therapist, my commitment is to him and helping him. And by then, I will be okay, I know. It speaks volume to him as a therapist. His character as a therapist. It's great. First date with Skylar. Okay. Oh, it's fun. It's okay. I don't think that the Skylar storyline is unnecessary, but I'm also not sure how I feel about it. I've mentioned in several of these videos, I knew I was gay when I was in preschool, and so all the representation in film is up until that point. I would say 98% of representation in film is all straight, and anytime you did see a gay character, it was Philadelphia. The guy's fucking dying. And, the film makes a point to say it's his fault. Or the characters in there try to make it his fault or whatever. Anyway, seeing representation of a relationship that you can identify with or connect with is really hard when you're that young and gay. Nowadays in film and TV, there's representation all over. You can't really understand. You can't really understand this day and age if you're 20 years old now in the USA watching film and television. You can't understand what it was like being 16 in 1997, 1998, 16, and going to see the films or things like that, and not seeing representation. Every once in a while, you might be able to find an indie film like Get Real, an English indie film where you're like, okay, that finally something represents me, but it's such an indie film, and there's no money behind it, and you can tell the quality of it is so bad, but it's fun, and it's cute, and the acting is good, and it's a nice story, but you don't get representation like you do now. Actually, we still don't get normalized representation. This is why I loved Knock at the Cabin, because here is a normal gay couple, a normal same-sex couple, and they're not cheating on each other. They're not fighting. Neither one of them is dying of a disease. This is a normal couple with a child. And that's what we need more representation in. Anyway, I go off on a tangent sometimes because being young and not seeing that representation, but then seeing it now is a blessing, and remembering what it was like is hard sometimes. And so seeing this, Will and Skylar together, I don't ever remember being really connected to these scenes at all. It was just expository so I can get to the next scene, what really mattered in the film. But I watching it now, I appreciate it more now than I ever did back then. And Minnie Driver's amazing. She's so charming and so wonderful and great in this. And that little scene between them when they have the kiss and they both have food in their mouths, it's cute. It's well written. It's well written, and it's cute, and it's fun. And I see how it's necessary for Will's character and his development. So nowadays I appreciate it more than being so detached that I didn't get it and I was just waiting for the next, the next scene every time that came up. Oh, the second session with Sean. So I'm thinking of something different. So the second session with Sean is the bench, when he's sitting at the bench. Like I said before, this is the monologue that, this is the scene and the monologue that Matt Damon had. It survived from his original project. And just that scene is so... Robin Williams deserved the Academy Award. And he's so brilliant and so wonderful. And just all the little, inflections. I couldn't say enough about him. But what I want to mention is Matt Damon. I think it was maybe it was a master class, or maybe it probably wasn't a master class. It was something else. Robert De Niro was doing an interview with somebody. I can't remember who now, and he was basically trying to say less is more. What I try to do sometimes is let the audience figure out what I'm going through instead of trying to do something with my face or with my voice or with my head. Just let it be. And De Niro is a master at this. Watch his performances, how he can literally just look into the camera and not do anything, and you're going through all the emotions. Why? Because he's allowing you to feel the way you feel instead of putting something there for you. And that's what he explains. Like, instead of me putting, I'm letting the audience fill in the gap. And De Niro is a master at this. He does this so well. One of the greatest ones I can think of is in Jackie Brown. And it's so brilliant because all the monologue, the entire fucking monologue is all Samuel L. Jackson's character. I can't remember his character's name right now. It's his character talking the entire time. But the focus of the camera is all Robert De Niro. And he literally is just listening. A couple of times he looks down, and then a little bit, but he's listening to him because he's telling him important stuff. And just the brilliance of Robert De Niro being able to let there be space and let there be time for the audience to figure out what's there. I'm not saying Matt Damon is Robert De Niro, not at all. I'm not saying that he's on the level of Robert De Niro, not at all. But this scene reminds me of Robert De Niro's advice to let the audience feel, because Matt Damon is very minimal in what he does in this scene. Yes, it's all Robin Williams, and for the most part, Gus Van Sant focuses on Robin Williams. But the couple of times you see Matt, or he's showing Matt from Robin's side view or whatnot, Matt is being very minimalistic and allowing you to put the emotion there instead of him putting the emotion there. And it's very well done. That scene is great. On all levels, writing, directing, acting, on all levels, that scene is brilliant. I love that Sean almost falls asleep. He says, is this a staring contest? Yeah, and I can't talk first. I love that. In the first session, they don't say anything to each other at all. And then in the second session, Sean almost falls asleep. I love that. And then, Will breaks it and tells the joke. And then, Will tells the joke about being on the airplane, and then Sean eventually tells the joke about his wife farting, and there's, all over the internet saying that was all ad-libbed. That's very possible that it was all ad-libbed. I think there was an interview where they asked Matt Damon? Was it Matt Damon? I can't remember. I think there was an interview where they asked Matt Damon if that was ad-libbed, and he was like, you know what, it probably was. Robin Williams did a lot of ad-libbing and a lot of experimenting with lines, and where there wasn't something there, he would, put some stuff there. That's how we get that great line at the end, which I'm going to explain later. But anyway, yes, he did a lot of ad-libbing. He did a lot of playing. He definitely was the definition of playing. He played these characters and played with these characters. And so it doesn't surprise me that monologue about his wife farting in bed and waking herself up, that was ad-libbed. It doesn't surprise me at all. And it is funny. Why lie to Skylar about your brothers? I didn't get that. I get that Will doesn't want to tell her about being an orphan because he doesn't want to have to explain about the abuse and then her look at him different. He's really worried about that. Holy crap, I've already gone an hour. So let me try to get through this. I just don't know why he lies about how many brothers. He knows he's going to get caught. You know you're going to get caught. There's no way you're not going to get caught. I didn't get the motivation to lie about that many brothers. Oh, the bar scene where Skylar meets his friends. I love that scene because Skylar fits into their world and the little joke she tells. I like that because up until then, it's all just been Will and Skylar. But when he finally introduces them all, you get that Skylar really fits too. That scene, after that scene with Sean and Jerry in the bar when they had the sandwiches and they're talking about Will's future, and then eventually they talk about the Unabomber. I love that scene because you start to get more of a richness and an understanding and a real sense of the conflict between Sean and Gerald. That scene really rips it. Wow, these guys are not best of friends. They have something there that's tearing at them and hasn't really been fleshed out. And it's really, really well done because now the tone of the movie starts to change. It gets more serious. Like Will's future is at stake, but also his well-being's at stake. And one guy wants to talk about his future, and one guy wants to talk about his well-being. And it's kind of like, yes, they're both important, and we get that they both have high stakes. Whose side are you on? I mean, sides, no sides. The McNeil meeting is hilarious. When he sends Chucky to do the meeting, and Chucky's like, he's wearing that suit that doesn't fit him. That's a great Ben Affleck. He does such a great job at that. Suspect. When he extorts the $200 or whatever, the $170 out of them, and he's wearing that suit that doesn't fit him. It's again, the writing is really well done, and that's fun to put. I never would have thought to put that in there. That's funny. I love when Will explains his gift to Skylar the best he can. When he says about playing the piano, I see a box and a box of wood and keys, and no idea. I love that little explanation because it gives you a little bit of an insight. Because unless you really are that person or really think that way, and there are people that do think that way, absolutely, and get where he's coming from, but unless you are that, you don't really understand it, and he puts it in such a simple way that it's easy for us as the audience to really get. Really well done. I've been here for 4 years, and I've only just found you. Such a sweet line, such a great sweet line, and that, regardless of your sexuality, that really does hit home, and that's a sentiment that many people can feel, especially people in relationships. I get that. I get how that can be. Oh, the blow up when she asks him to come to California. That's so well done. And here really shows off, again, Matt Damon's ability as an actor. I mean, yes, you know, I love Skylar in this part. She does such a great job. Minnie Driver does such a great job at this part. But Matt Damon really shines here because I believe every second. I don't feel like he's acting. I feel like, wow, he does such a great job. I believe him. And I've said before, the mark of a great actor is that you believe them, that they believe who they are, and that makes you, in turn, as the audience, believe them. And I believe every second of that part. He does such a great job at trying to keep it in, but then he blows up because it's been revealed. He can't hide it anymore, and then he lashes out, and then he retreats. It's so well done. All those levels of him, it's really, really well done. And then right after that, we see him with Gerald, and he burns the math paper. He is imploding at this point. And overall, I think overall, Gus Van Sant does such a great job with the pacing. The pacing of this film, it's how long is it again? I said 2 hours and 6 minutes. The pacing just is so well done. One thing after another. It's not like it's too fast where you really have to, but it's just fast enough to where it's like it never gets stale. It never lets up, really. The pacing is really well done. So right after, you know, he breaks up, you realize he is imploding, and you don't want to let up on that. So the Skylar scene, and he's, you know, he's torn apart by that, and then right after that, you see him with Gerald, and he burns the paper, and he's really imploding. This is so fucking simple for me, you know. I hate to see you fumble around and fuck it up, and then he burns it, and he's like, and that's the part where I love Stellan Skarsgård. His performance there is amazing. When you see that pain and that hurt, you finally see a different side to Gerald, that he admires Will's ability and hates him at the same time, and you can see that in his performance. Such a great job, and again, you know, well written. Why not work for the NSA? That monologue is so well written. I keep saying that. It deserved best original screenplay. So that why shouldn't I work for the NSA? That whole monologue. He does such a great job for it. I wonder how long he had to practice, you know, how many times he had to do it. But it's so well done. And I love that Will's bullshit, Sean sees through it. And this is finally the time where Sean's like, I'm not letting this go anymore. We've had too many sessions. You have a bullshit, like he says, you have a bullshit answer for everything. I'm not doing this anymore. The game is up. What do you want to do? When he asks him what do you want to do, and when he can't tell him, and I'm not playing the game anymore. I'm your therapist. I'm not your friend. And if I don't break through this, if you don't get past this, you're never going to grow. And I love when he pushes back and doesn't let up and just says, well, then get out. It's such a great piece. And the shift and getting rid of him before Will can push back and get rid of him, because Will's defense mechanism is to push people away, but Sean pushes him out before he has a chance to do that. Why? Because you can't be honest with me. You can't be serious with me. And that's what this is about. We're not getting anywhere if you don't do that. And that part where Chucky finally gets through to Will is so amazing. And it's so simple, and Ben Affleck does such a great job. The part where, if you're still here in 20 years, I'll fucking kill you. You know, taking our kids to Little League, you know, that's not a threat, it's a fact. Why? Because you have something that, you know, I love the way he puts it away, a different way. No, you don't owe it to yourself, you owe it to me. Why? Because I would give anything to have the gift that you have. Anything. When I hear people like Alex Pettyfer in an interview saying that he never really wanted to be an actor, I want to beat the crap out of him. I want to beat the crap out of you. Why? Because you are a gorgeous, blonde, white man with every privilege in the world making huge films. And what do you do in an interview to say, well, I never really wanted to be an actor? Well, fuck you. How many people in the world like me, like so many others, would give anything to be where you're at? And you're going to say that in an interview? Get out of here. Good. Good. Get out of the way and let somebody else do it. And I get how Chucky feels. How dare you not take advantage of this gift? You are born with it, and that's it. You have a winning lottery ticket, and you're too much of a pussy to cash it in. He really drives it home. And for Matt, Will is looking for family, and his buddies are his family because his family abandoned him. So, but this is the point where, you know what, you're old enough. It's like a bird being pushed out of the nest to fly. No, staying here is a waste of your time. This really is it's a great scene. It's a great culmination of everything we've come through and really getting Will, no, you really need to take on the responsibility of something that you were born with. You were not born to be here with us doing construction or deconstruction or whatever, demolition. This is ridiculous. And that part really drives it home, that his best friend is telling him this, and in that way, and that part when Sean, it's not your fault, all this is not your fault, that whole breakdown scene, still to this day, tonight, watching it tonight, still brings tears to my eyes. It's so well done, and the simplicity of the camera work and the directing and the simplicity of the dialogue, because it gets really simple at that point. This is not your fault. This is all about the passion from the actors and the ability from the actors to really drive this home, and the simple way that Robin Williams portrays that love, and Matt Damon still has that little bit of a shut off but breakdown. It's such a great scene. It's a fantastic scene, and still to this day brings tears to my eyes. Like, just wonderful. So the story, okay, I put this quick little note. The story of an orphan being abandoned, and then its psyche or personality struggling to be as perfect as possible to prove that they deserve something, is not new. So the overall story is not new, but the way it's told, I love the way this one is told. I love the characters in this. So it may not be a wholly new concept, an innovative concept, but the way it's done and the characters in this film make it wonderful, and they did such a great job with this. It's also nice to see that Sean progresses too, that it's not all about Will's transformation and Will's progression, but Sean also takes a chance at life again too, and it's really nice to see that. I love that they threw that in. They didn't need to, but it was nice to see them put that in there. His car at the end. They give him a car for his 21st birthday. It's a 69 Chevy Nova, which is the first car I ever had, with a straight 6 in it, which I had in mine. Oh my God, such a great car. Now, mine looked, admittingly, way better than that one. I was the second owner of it, and it still had the original paint job, the original interior, the original everything. It was a very nice car, but I love that car. Like that, I wish I had that car again. I want that car back, a 69 Chevy Nova. So the great line at the end, son of a bitch, he stole my line. So, like I said before, Matt Damon in an interview said that Robin Williams would often ad-lib, and this was one of the ad-lib parts where they didn't have much written there. He was just supposed to turn around and walk inside, like get the note. It was supposed to be the monologue of the note, or the voiceover of the note, and then he would turn around and go in. And they shot it over and over a few times, and apparently Robin Williams tried a couple of different things, and when this one hit, when he said this one, Matt Damon said that even he and Gus Van Sant behind the camera were both like, that's it. That's the one. As soon as he's son of a bitch, he stole my line. They both went, yep, that's it. That's the one. And one of the best lines, the line that really, every time I think of this movie, that's the line that I think of. And it was ad-libbed by the incredibly one-of-a-kind, amazing Robin Williams. So that's Good Will Hunting. I absolutely loved it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for continuing to watch. I can't believe, Return of the Jedi, 40-something views in less than a week. So thank you very much. And we'll see what happens next week. I'm going to have to look at the few lines in the poster where I don't have something yet on that line crossed off, and I'll have to pick one of those to do the review of next time. So until next time, thanks a bunch for watching. Have a great weekend.